gotta admit, that's kind of fun. The whole snappy feature. Well, I like that. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Snap FX, starting right now. Hey, you guys know the runtime of the Snap FX? Just a single battery? Alright, so I got this at the Orlando Premiere Show. I've been using it every day since. I've learned some things that are going to surprise you. So you can only get this with a fade blade, unfortunately, and you're also stuck with that DLC 2.0 trimmer blade that I've had problems with in the past. So we're going to break down the cost and some comparable factors later in the video. In the box, you get 2 batteries, the charger, the premium guards, more on that later, and check out the rest of the stuff as we unbox this. So out of the box, this clipper cut smooth, it never got hot, and other than the ergonomics, it was a joy to use until I did my first fade. More on this later, but I also ran some battery tests, and one of the batteries I received, it isn't right. So we're gonna get into that as well. Now, if you watch most of my videos, you'll notice that I do tend to use the fusion blade. The vapor blade is what we're going to be calling it now. That's how I do most of my fades, and I also use a taper blade, but I wanted to use this as it came out of the box. So the first few cuts I did, they were seniors and they were kids, and the clipper just performed great. The cut was smooth, there was no pulling. Initially, I was pretty impressed with the clipper. However, the trimmer just wasn't hitting. Despite trying to adjust it multiple times, especially on gray hair and kids, it was more pushing the hair than cutting it, and it really wasn't making a clean line. Now my first fade walks in, and I gotta be honest, I felt like I was running in circles with this fade. Like, I kept making little mistakes. It was really hard to get it right, and I just can't stand this blade. So I actually wound up reaching to my Rebel to kind of bail me out. So this prompted me to put the Fusion blade on the clipper, and I also put the Gold FX blade back on the trimmer, as you can see here. As soon as I did that, I started getting those laser lines again. Now, when you do this to your clipper, you actually only have to change the top blade. I have the Babyliss Pro blade back on here, but when you swap them out, you can leave the Babyliss Pro cutting blade on there. I have to say that blade's phenomenal. And once I did that, I was just breezing through the rest of my day. All my fades were easy. Clipper over comb, bulk. I mean, this thing handled it all, and it did a great job. On to the batteries. So here's the first test results. Right about now.
A few moments later.
So I found it strange there was no runtime on the box, none on the website. I couldn't find it anywhere. I looked in the trash can, I looked all over the place, and I just find it strange that they're not even telling you what the runtime of a single battery is. All they say is it's infinite. So here's the results of the second test. Before I go to the second test, I just want to show you the trimmer stopped working at 2 hours and 1 minute. So that's pretty good. And let's move on to the next test. Okay, so this is the other brand new battery. This is the one that needs to charge. So brand new battery, we're going to plug it in, and I'm going to give this the benefit of the doubt. It didn't last very long the first time. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. It was at this moment that it started to dawn on me that this thing is really messed up. 6 minutes and 15 seconds. Check out my reaction. What the f happened? It died already. Now, this battery that they sent me clearly is messed up. It's lasting around 10 minutes. Okay, so I'm kind of actually happy to report we got a big update on the battery. Catch it in the verdict section where I'm going to list all the pros and cons towards the end of the video. But it was kind of user error. I'm not going to hold this against them. I know there's quality control issues that can happen sometimes. This was a random sample. I bought this. They did not send this to me. They didn't ask me to do this review. They had no idea I was doing it. So in total, both batteries for my clipper, they gave me around 2 hours, which is pretty low. All right. Now the trimmer, we also ran some tests on the trimmer. Here's the results for the trimmer. Trimmer did pretty good, but they seem to charge in less than an hour. So in truth, as long as you have power, you can keep swapping them out and you can run infinitely when you have power. Okay, you'll notice that this is the trimmer battery, and you can actually charge it in the clipper battery. This is a clipper battery, and you cannot put it in there because they put this little line here. So if they would have been a little smarter and included a micro USB charging option, that would have changed everything. That would have made this entire thing brilliant. But unfortunately, this is what we got. And for those of you who still hang a clipper, you got that. I don't know who would hang a clipper this expensive and potentially drop it. It just doesn't seem really that smart. With a little bit more engineering, if they wanted to, they certainly could have made these batteries both universal, and that would have made life so much easier, because one thing about Babyliss is there's a lot of different chargers, there's a lot of different things, and I like to see brands do universal charging across the board, so we don't have to try to hunt for that one charger that I freaking left in a drawer somewhere. The other thing I don't understand is why it's got to stick out so far. I mean, there's plenty of things in our life that have batteries that could just go inside, and it could be flush on the end, and that wouldn't make it so long, because I think one thing that you're going to notice is this clipper is pretty massive, and that might be a problem for some people. It really wasn't that big of a problem for me, but ergonomically, that's where we're going next. We're going to talk about it. Last thing I want to say on this subject is most clippers that you keep on a stand, they're going to stay charged all day. When you're just setting them on a stand, going back and forth, they too will run infinitely. So the idea of having this Snap FX with this changeable battery, it's cool, but I'm not really looking at it as some really revolutionary thing just yet. I do think there's potential. That takes me to my next point about ergonomics.
I mean, this thing is big.
And if you're a fan of the flashlight-shaped clippers, you're probably going to love this. But personally, I'm not. I don't like this big, wide area where I grip it. I'm more of a fan of like the traditional clippers. I like the shape of like the Magic Clips, the Rebels, anything that's a little bit smaller. Even the Low Pro fits in my hand a little bit better than the big flashlight design. This little pocket door, we might as well talk about that. You can open this up and you can clean this clipper out. And if there was one feature that I would remove that would maybe make this cost a little bit less, that would be it. But I am a sucker for magnets. I love the noises. Weight, noise, and heat. Let's go. So the highest reading I got there was 73. These are whisper quiet. They're super, super nice. And if we go over to the trimmers, let's see what they are. Looks like about 65 was about the highest rating that I could get. And that's a lot quieter than me talking. Shit, me talking, it's over 80. So I'm just going to go ahead and say this is a huge improvement. I hope they stay this quiet, but we all know that these tend to get a little bit loud. However, in the box, they have been including an extra cam follower for both the clipper and the trimmer. And if you don't know what that is, it's a little piece of plastic that tends to wear out. And once it wears out, there's a little bit of a gap and it causes a little extra noise. And that's a cool running blade. It's 80 where it touches the client. This one, let's see what that one's at. 95. So I don't think it's going to get much higher than that, but that's after an hour and we're both still going pretty strong. So as far as the weight goes, it's right about where I like it at. If I put that on the scale, I think that's beautiful. It feels very comfortable in the hand. It's not overly heavy like I feel like the Mythic, but it weighs probably about similar to what the Saber weighs, which is like one of my favorite weights, but it's a great and comfortable weight. Now onto the guards. I got kind of hopped up watching them run over a set with the truck. So I had to do that test on my own. I don't know if you guys remember, but a few months ago, I did a little test like that with my Mythic.
Oh, get him. Oh, it's smushed.
So here's how my test went. Yo, we got them all ready.
Uh-oh. It definitely broke. Okay, I'm not sure what type of truck was used, but so much for these nice guards. They're fucked. I mean, look at the 3-guard, even the 3-guard. But yo, the half guard survived.
You guys think I can still use this on somebody? Apparently that test they did was not on the same truck I had, but I'll be honest, this truck had a bulldozer attached to it. It was a work truck. So yeah, they didn't make it. But before that, I gotta say, I love the premium feel of the guards. These guards were tough guards for sure. And I wish they were color-coded so I could tell them apart a little bit easier, but overall, they were a joy to use. But the two most important guards, I would say, is the 1 and the half guard. I felt like they were leaving the hair like a tiny bit longer than I was used to, and I still preferred using the 1 and half guard from Wall. It doesn't seem like nothing can get me off of it, but I do want to point out that you can use Wall guards, Gamma guards, JRL guards. Most of them are universal through most of their units. You know, one of the other things that kind of stinks is like, I really would have loved to have had 2. One with maybe this fade blade or a fusion blade and one with a taper blade. But I think we're just getting into an asinine amount of money if I chose to do that. It comes with a fade blade?
Yeah.
Is it possible for it to come with a taper blade?
I can't swap out the blade. we sell them.
It's okay. I got blades. It's okay.
You got blades for days, right?
Yeah, I got blades.
Pros, all right? The pros for this machine, both these machines are very aesthetically pleasing, make a great addition to anybody's kit. They're whisper quiet. This motor is super strong and super quiet. Clipper over comb, no problem. Removes bulk, no problem. You can actually cut hair all day with this. I actually had to go to read the instructions. I know who does that, but it says to drain the battery 3 times and then you will start to get appropriate battery life. So since then, I've actually found I'm able to cut hair all day with a single battery, which makes this a lot better. I'm a lot happier with that being said. So I had to go ahead and share this part with you. I'm so glad that I didn't release it before I learned that. Now the charger, if you only plug one battery in, it rapid charges. So when you plug 2 batteries in, it slow charges. So when you plug one in, it's gonna start charging a lot faster because it knows that you might need that battery. So that's a cool feature, but until they get rid of this giant thing we're gonna talk about in the con section, all right? So in the con section, one of the biggest cons is the fact that I have to carry around one of these. You don't have to carry around both because like I showed you earlier, the trimmer battery will charge on the clipper one. So you have to carry around the clipper one, which is pretty bulky and tough to fit in a bag. All right. The other con would be I have to swap out both of these blades. Now the Gold FX blade, that's going to run you $50 just about. And if I swap to a Fusion blade, that's a little cheaper. Or if I decide to go with a taper blade from Babyliss, we're looking at another $50 on top of the already $700 spent. I mean, that's a huge expense. The next con that I'll list is I'm not a fan of the flashlight shape. When the lever is fully open, it's kind of hard for me to reach down and get this back into the open position. So what I do is I kind of rotate it before I do that. And that extra movement, I had to do it over and over again. I didn't really like that. Like, I don't want to drop this. It's really expensive, and that's what it feels like. It feels like I'm going to drop it if I reach for it. With that being said, ergonomics of this clipper are not my favorite, but you actually might feel different about the ergonomics than I do. The last con that I'm going to list is these batteries appear to be the exact same. They have the same writing, same voltage, same everything, and it seems to me that they could have made these interchangeable for clipper and trimmer, and that would have been genius because let's face it, the clipper is going to take a lot more abuse than the trimmer. So at the end of the day, you might run out of juice with your clipper and you could have saved the day, but the fact that these are not interchangeable is definitely going to be a con. And until they integrate some type of charging option here, if I just was able to plug these in, this would be so hard to beat as a travel unit. So all I'm going to say at the end of the day is these are some fantastic units. I'm actually pretty happy with both of them. Would I pick them over what else is on the market? Probably not. I do think it's a little bit too much money to spend. The value personally for me is probably not there yet, but I like where their head's at, man, and I'm going to encourage them to keep on going. All right. I hope that you guys enjoyed this review. I hope that you enjoyed this channel and this content. And of course, it was a ton of work to make this. If you do choose to purchase a Snap FX, please head over to 614 Barber Supply. Use my code Eddie and save yourself some money on your purchase. We did put this through the gauntlet, man, and I think that they're on the right track with this style of thinking. I'm excited to see what they come out with next. And of course, I'm always looking for more innovation like this. This is the YouTube Barber Academy. I'm Mr. Eddie Barber, and I'm out of here. I just burped. And I'm out of here. Peace. What happened? You just shh. I'm acting over here, Al. Shut the fuck up. Let me try this again. I'm gonna break down the cost and some comparable. The two have to jag